So this is the north end of Roanoke Island, where the lost colony of Roanoke supposedly got lost. And what we have here is the Starfort they left behind. Not something they tell you much about. We're going to move out a little bit and look at the story here. So they were dropped off there, and then the returning ship was expecting to find them, but they found them lost. So the story goes that this guy thought that they might have moved down to an Indian village down here in the Hatteras Island, or perhaps inland to an old fort. He had a map that they had captured from the Spanish, and there was an old fort back there, supposedly. And I have a copy of this map, and this is where the story goes. But anyways, before he got a chance to go looking for him, as the story goes, the seas got rough and his anchor broke, and he felt the best thing to do was just sail back to England. That's the story. Not sure that's what I would have done, but anyway, so let's look at this point over here. This is where this map shows that there was actually a fort from the Spanish had built, from the Spanish map he had. I can't show you the copy that I have because I can't open a file the way I'm recording. I can't edit. I can't open files that will kill the video, so I apologize. But so right down in here would be it, and what we have here is this preserve, Scotch Hall Preserve. Sorry, stay still. And a golf course, Scotch Hall Golf Course. And you kind of gotta wonder, you know, did this used to be something? We don't know. But that's what's there. So this map that they found was connected to this individual that actually created, and we're going to back out of here more so we can get it all in the picture. There is a fort out in here, I'm going to show you in a minute, connected to this individual. And the story to this fort is that he built 6 forts through here. Story is this guy landed here and marched through, moved west. And according to this story, to this star fort out here, go away, is that they built a line of 6 forts. But this fort's also connected to a story out of South Carolina. They were all in here. The forts were all in here, anyways. I don't know how any of the story can be believed. So, anyways, before we get to that fort, the one fort that we do know of, have known of, is here in Statesville. We can still see this fort. Gotta show you this for another reason. Each of these forts I'm going to show you has a different story connected to it. And we're going to be right up in here. And get it centered right. We'll be close. This is supposed to be a Civil War fort. And it's right down in here. And today, they have reconstructed a blockhouse in the middle of it, and they're telling us this is what they built, and then went in and built a palisade around it. They just built this in the middle of an old Starfort. And somehow it's all connected to the Civil War, because that's what they did. So anyways, we're going to look at this, what's going on to this documentable at this point, for sure. Spanish fort. Gotta find my landmark. It's right up in here. Move this to the center best we can. Get down in there. And we're looking for the spot right down here. And what's going on here is a joint effort between 3 universities and an archaeological dig on this very old Spanish fort. So this is what we have today. But they claim that they say that they built a blockhouse here and then they built palisades and a moat. They found the moat and the palisades. And this is a joint effort between 3 universities on this 15th century Spanish fort in the middle of North Carolina. The interesting thing to the story is this guy supposedly traveled to here to this Johara, which is an old Indian town, and they made friends and they settled and built this fort. This is the story we're being told. But so that's there. So unconnected, and let's just get some references here. So we have Statesville over here, we have the fort here, and they were just here. I was watching a YouTube video, and they were talking about early settlement, pre-revolution. Settlers were coming down from Pittsburgh, following the wagon trail down the east side of the mountains, and settling in North Carolina. I explain much more of the story, but I'm going to try and keep this video short and show you some things here. So they were talking that how in the outbreak of the revolution, the British had incited the Indians to fight all the settlers out here in order to bring them on the English side somehow, whatever that's the story we're told. So in this video that I'm watching a YouTube video, that's a 12-year-old YouTube video, and somebody uploaded, which must have been a much older movie of this. And what they were saying is that when the Indians started attacking, they moved into these 2 different forts. One in 69 South Carolina, which we know is a Starfort, attributed to the Civil War. But now we're talking pre-Revolution in this story that I'm hearing. It's a really old story. And the other fort was in Davison's Fort that was built south of the Black Mountains. And that's the first I'd heard of it, and I hadn't heard of the Black Mountains. I had to look this up. So over in here, this is the Black Mountains. This actually in here is the highest point on the East Coast, is what I come to find. So I got in here and looked, and we're just a line. There's a line. And Davison's Fort's supposed to be south of this, and just lo and behold, there's an old fort. It's another thing you can learn about America is if the town says fort, there was a fort there. Union Mills, there's probably a mill there. It's not that hard. So I get down in here, and I know this fort's called Davison's Fort, and this is Old Fort. But I see Old Fort picnic area. So I search in here, and there's this trail that goes along this ridge. And I searched, and I just get down and look and search, and I couldn't find anything that looked at anything. I got down in the town, looked, couldn't really find anything. So I started researching. And what I found first was you research the town, and it became famous. They say, they admit that the town's named after an old fort, but they don't know where the fort is. It's long gone. But the town became famous in the late 1800s because this became a tourist attraction because of this Kababa, these falls. Catawba Falls here. So this became a tourist town in the late 1800s. And according to the story, this wealthy person came out here and built this, we'll move in here as I talk, resort. And in this resort, he built this man-made geyser that was powered by a spring, supposedly. So I'm looking for the spring and stuff. There's one other landmark in this town that it's famous for, supposedly. It's this big Indian head, stone Indian head, 30-foot Indian head they carved. And I think I'm on the right spot. Stands in this little circle here inside the railroad. But that's not what we're looking for. I'm looking for this damn geyser, and I'm looking for this fort. I finally found this thing. Researching the town, fort's long gone. They built this replica. Oops. Come on. Try and do it this way. So they built this replica. Of course, it's a stockade fence. Built probably on donated land. Stuck in some corner behind this warehouse. To represent what was here. Well, I don't think that was probably it, but we'll never know. That's not real. And looking, I dug everywhere. I found an old picture on this geyser, and it showed it built by the railroad, but then the railroad could have shifted. But I've searched up and down the railroad. It didn't need to necessarily be in town, but the town still owns the geyser. It's still there. And I lurked and looked. The only other thing I found interesting, and then I'll move on, is the only road in town that has forts in it is this little location here, and you can see this V. You can see this from a distance. But I'm thinking if I was looking for the fort, I might be looking up in here. But they say it doesn't exist, and I can't find anything else really. But I'm looking for this geyser, and it gave up. It really gave up, and I just started following this railroad. And I'm going to back out of here because it'll make it a little easier. The railroad goes up past here. I'd already been through up here. So I just gave up. I just start following the railroad. And I was down low looking. I was just following the railroad. And I got up in here. And this is just really bizarre. But I found the geyser. Let me show you this geyser first. Let me show you, then I'm going to show you the railroad. Because it leads somewhere. So I came up here following really low. And all of a sudden I'm up on top of this other railroad. Now I don't know if there's a sheer cliff here. Or why they do this. But when I show you what this railroad does, it's really bizarre. But let's look at this geyser real quick. This geyser's been here since 1800s sometime. And this thing shoots high in the sky. Let's see if we get a picture of it here. It's no joke. Alright, anyways. Thought that was interesting. But this railroad comes up here, snakes around, up and around. Here's the resort. I guess this is the resort the guy built. There's a lodge. Railroad snakes around again. Again, just right there is the other railroad. All the way up and around and around and around. And I thought I was done with that. And I'll zoom out. And this thing continues. It zooms up. It goes around, comes around, back around, up around. They might have had to do this because of grade. It's just hard to believe. So it comes back down. Bounce out just one moment. comes back out and back into this town, and I'm looking now, the town's Black Mountain, and that's what they were talking about, Black Mountain, and they said this fort was just below Black Mountains. The Black Mountains is what they said in the video. But now here's the town Black Mountain, so I decided to follow it on in here, so I followed it on in here. And I can show you, the railroad goes down and down through a couple tunnels. And I found it really bizarre that they went through all of this trouble, snaking around this and that, and still built tunnels, and couldn't do just what they did with the road and connected the two towns. Could look into that deeper. I could even show you the tunnels, but it comes into town, so I'm looking into this town, see what might be strange, and didn't really run across much, but the reservoir caught my attention because a lot of times, the canals, dam builders or whatever. So I get down and look. Didn't really find anything too interesting. As I came down, I got down into here, and this is like a mining operation going on in here. It's Hendrick stone and sand gravel pits, powered. So we get down, you'll see these are silt ponds and stuff. That's what the mining operations do. There's a mine up in here. So there's the reservoir. There's a mining operation. Come on. And then down you have the downstream. But what caught my attention, and this just to me is bizarre. I find this bizarre no matter, I've just always thought crazy, but there's a girls' camp here and a boys' camp here. And then we have this foundation for camp diversity. Yet they're dividing them. That's a little bizarre in itself. This Lake Eden Events and Lodging, I'm not sure what that is. Lake Eden, they're calling this Lake Eden. It's it's part of their silt ponds for this mining operation. And they have these boys and girls camps here. And it's definitely a mining operation. And we have a golf course right here too. Didn't even notice that till just now. Okay. Not connected to a Starfort, but I'm going, wow, and I'm getting tired. I've been looking for hours already. I'm condensing a lot of what I found, a lot of this. But I'll back out. Backing out. To look at this picture again. So it's the highest point on the East Coast in the mountains, is what they're saying. Or at least of the Appalachian shore. I don't know if that includes New England or not, but that's what they're saying. So we got Old Fort. We got this really weird thing going on up in here. Coming down into Black Mountain. And I'm like, what's here? And before I even saw Asheville, I saw Biltmore. And I'm Biltmore. This is not that, can't be. Vanderbilt's place? It is. Green area in Asheville. All of this essentially is, I mean, they got stables down in here. And then it connects to the Arboretum, whatever. The Biltmore Park. The estate's right here. You gonna show us? You're not gonna show me. It's moving closer. You're not gonna give me a picture of it. Alright. So anyways, that's Vanderbilt's estate right there. And then we have this golf course, community, part of their estate. Their equestrian centers is down in here. I don't know, folks. some of the Starforts I found, some of the information I found, the connections there. So there are 4 here, Statesville, the one right in here, the really old one, Strange Stuff in Asheville and Biltmore. More of this story, folks. We'll figure it out. I'm going to end this video. I've got this set up for to do a video on an introduction to Starforts in general and how it connects to America. I'm going to do that video. I got this set up. Information I've recently come across is mind-boggling about the Washington, D.C. area and additional canals and a couple more Starforts that I found right there. And it's Trump's golf course is right there in the middle of all this. It's kind of all interesting. Next video. I'm going to say goodbye. Peace.